Welcome to AMT's Standard Bank Fresh Produce Overview. In this week's episode, proudly brought to you by Standard Bank and Villa, we look at the latest price movements and focus on the potato market and current state of the crop. We also discuss what this can mean for prices for the rest of this year. All in this week's episode, so make sure to stay tuned. Our biggest movers for this week was garlic with an 18% jump in prices, while grape prices dropped by more than 21% week on week. Our focus is this week on the low demand, with most reporting a very quiet market at the moment. But with that, let's jump into the latest prices on the markets over the past week. The national average potato price decreased slightly last week, as was expected, to an average price of R51.76 per 10 kilogram bag. Large potatoes traded lower at R58, mediums at R50 and smalls on R35. Mondials stayed sideways on R49, while Cifras came in at R61 on average. The average price for Class 1 potatoes across all sizes on all markets was on R57.28 last week. It's tough currently on the markets at the moment, with low demand and high volumes that will drive potato prices further down this week as well. The market also started off with high volumes on Monday morning, keeping prices on the back foot. Some positives is that Douglas is sending more to the processing sector, while the Eastern Free State is finishing up at the moment. Kroonstad, however, didn't have a good season at all, with low yields and lower quality, while Christiana's later harvest also seems to be of a lower quality. The big problem is, however, the volumes that is likely to come from Limpopo that will increase sharply from here on out, and it looks like a very big crop from Limpopo at the moment, with good production conditions thus far and volumes that can peak in September and October, which of course can keep the market prices under severe pressure over the next month or so. In 2022, we had a similar situation, with prices remaining well below the R50 mark until October, when it started to pick up slightly towards November and December. The average onion price decreased by 5% to R67.27 per 10 kilogram bag and is now 18% lower than a year ago. Brown onions averaged on R70, red onions decreased to R128 and white onions decreased to R64. Large onions traded lower on R76, mediums lower on R74 and smalls on R45. We are still on a similar trend as last year, when we saw prices dropping from current levels to about R50 in September. So expect prices to decrease further this week, especially considering that the markets are very quiet at the moment. Tomato prices decreased last week and traded 9% lower on R11.94 per kilogram. Large tomatoes traded at R10.86, mediums at R13.13 and smalls at R11.06. We are seeing significantly lower demand on the markets at the moment, which can drive prices further downward, even if we see lower volumes as well. Carrot prices decreased to R5.71 per kilogram, but still remain 44% higher than a year ago. The drop in price was due to lower demand on the markets last week. Large carrots traded on R5.85, mediums at R5.09 and smalls at R4.04. It is starting to look that prices can stay on these higher levels for the next month, despite lower demand, mostly due to volumes that is staying on a lower level this year. At the moment, we are seeing about 10% lower volumes than a year ago. This video is proudly sponsored by Villa. Through world-class technology like Masterlock, localized for South African conditions, Villa helps you manage risk, increase productivity, and get it right the first time, backed by research that keeps you ahead. The average pepper price increased by 3% to R22.28 per kilogram. Green peppers came in at R15.75, yellow peppers increased to R37.08 and red peppers increased to R37.73. The average price is now almost 57% higher than this time last year, with volumes about 10% lower year on year. This price can however peak in August. Cabbage prices increased by 3% to R3.12 per kilogram and is likely to increase slightly this week again. Garlic prices jumped sharply last week, trading 18% higher to R80.09, with local garlic on R83.13 and imported garlic on R79.73. Garlic prices will likely remain on these higher levels during July and then start trickling downward from August onwards as more volumes are expected. Spinach prices jumped to R4.62 while sweet potato prices remained sideways on R4.71 last week. Pumpkin prices increased by 5% to R3.59, while butternuts increased to R5.91. Green beans increased to R19.16, while cucumber prices traded 3% higher on R13.54. Our latest reports are also now available on our website, so go check them out at amtrends.co.za now. In the fruit market, the average banana price increased by 12% to R6.71 per kilogram or R121 per 18 kilogram box. It looks like that prices can trade mostly sideways this week due to lower demand and volumes that's also expected to be slightly lower. Apple prices traded on R9.24 per kilogram, while pear prices increased to R9.18. Orange prices increased by 6% to R4.68 per kilogram. We still anticipate orange prices to remain on a lower level over the next month or two. Avocado prices increased by 7% to R16.77 per kilogram. Fuetes traded on R20.30, Haas on R14.01 and Pinkertons now on R14.88 per kilogram. Expect avo prices to remain in a slight upward trend until October, after which it can start to increase more severely as the season comes to an end and volumes drop off. The average grape price decreased to R39.83 per kilogram last week. We however still expect grape prices to remain on a higher level in August due to lower volumes on the markets expected. Pineapples increased to R9.49 and is also likely to bottom out in July and August. Lemons increased to R5.16 while the average blueberry price jumped to R103 per kilogram on the markets last week. This episode was proudly brought to you by Standard Bank and Villa. For more detailed insights, forecasts, and downloadable reports, visit amtrends.co.za now. I'm Dr. Johnny van der Merwe. Thanks for tuning in and see you next week.